Cavatina Conversations. My name is Carmen Lasceski-Custers. I'm a violinist, vocalist, and the owner of Cavatina Violin Studio, where I teach private lessons. Today's episode is all about how to tune your violin. So the first thing that you're going to need to tune your violin is a tuner of some kind. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. And there are a lot of different apps that you can download for your phone or tablet that will be tuner apps that allow you to tune your violin. There are a bunch of different ones out there. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. It really depends on which one you like. It's just really a personal preference. But you can go through the App Store and you can find a lot of different online app options for tuning your violin on your phone. The other option is to purchase a physical tuner that would be separate from your phone. There are some that are just tuners on their own. There are some that are tuners/metronomes. Mine is a tuner/metronome. I've had it for many years. As evidence, it's been pretty well loved. Also dropped. It's taped together. So this is one that would sit on the music stand in front of me. There are other ones that clip onto your violin as well too. There are many different brands out there. Again, it's really just a personal preference for what you want in a metronome. And there's all different price ranges, starting $15. You can go all the way up to like $50 to get something really fancy if you want to. But again, it's just a personal preference on how much you want to spend and what kind of a tuner you're looking for. I personally prefer the ones that can sit on the stand in front of me versus one that clips onto my instrument. I just don't like to look to the side. I like to have something directly in front of me. So once you have got your tuner, whether it's on your phone or it's an external tuner, the next thing that you want to do when you turn it on is make sure that it's set to either 440 or 440 or 442. 442, one of these two frequencies. They're both totally acceptable. A lot of it depends on what part of the world you're in, maybe what teacher you're studying with, what ensemble you're playing with. The most important thing is to pick one and be consistent. So if you're playing in a lot of different ensembles, everybody's using 440, then you want to use 440 when you're at home tuning. Same thing, you use 442 if everybody else is using 442. I personally use 442. So you can calibrate your tuner. You turn it on, and mine says 442, if you can see right there. I can calibrate it by spinning this little wheel down, and it will take it to 440. Or if I want to go back up to 442 or even higher, basically this wheel allows me to calibrate it however I want. And all of the tuners, whether they are on an app or a physical tuner, they will allow you to calibrate one way or the other. Before you start tuning, it's just important to make sure you have it set to the right frequency before you start. So after you have your tuner set, it's time to think about tuning your violin. So now there are two different ways that you can tune your violin. The first one is using the fine tuners, or these very small tuners that are down near the tailpiece of your violin. I know it's kind of hard to see because mine is black on black, but you can see a little bit there. This is my fine tuner. So it's a very small tuner, which is why they call it a fine tuner. And it allows for more delicate precision. Student model instruments generally have fine tuners across all four of the strings down here. Advanced and professional violins generally only have a fine tuner for the E, and then you're using your pegs to tune the rest of the strings. So to tune your pitch with the fine tuner, you want to turn it clockwise or to the right to raise the pitch. And then you want to turn it counterclockwise or the left to lower the pitch. Another way that you can think about it is if you had a volume control on a stereo. To turn the volume up, you would turn it clockwise, and to turn the volume down, you would turn it counterclockwise. So you can think, I'm turning the pitch up, so clockwise, or turning the pitch down, counterclockwise. So I'll just demonstrate so that you can hear what that sounds like when I move one way or another. So, raising the pitch, lowering the pitch. Raising it again. So I'm just going back and forth by raising and lowering the pitch with the fine tuner. Generally, you don't need to move it quite that much, but just moving it a little bit is enough. So Now, if you need to use your pegs, so if you don't have fine tuners or you need to make an adjustment that can't be made with your fine tuners, then you're going to need to use your pegs. To raise the pitch on your pegs, you are going to turn them away from you. So if you were turning this direction, that will raise the pitch. And if you need to lower the pitch, you're going to turn it toward you, and that will bring it back this way. Sometimes if your pegs don't get used a lot, they can be a little bit sticky. They can get kind of stuck, and because they're wood and the peg box is wood, they kind of get stuck in there. If it's really stuck, I recommend just turning it down or away from you first. That's going to release the tension on the string, and then it'll also release a little bit of that tension in the peg box, and you won't inadvertently snap your string. If you're turning it away from you and you're using a lot of force and like that, all of a sudden you can risk just snapping your string, and you don't want to do that. So I'll demonstrate what it sounds like when I raise and lower the pitch with my pegs. So on my A, I'm going to make it higher. I'm going to make it lower. And then I'm going to bring it back. So the other thing with your pegs is generally if you're just moving a little bit, you don't need to worry about having any pressure on there. But sometimes if you're moving your pegs a lot, you have to kind of push and turn at the same time if it's going to be a big adjustment. They kind of lose a little bit of their catch, so you kind of have to push and turn, and you get it right where you want it to. So now that we've talked about how to adjust the pitch on your violin and how to adjust the pitch on your tuner, let's talk about actually using the tuner to tune your violin. So there are two different ways that you can tune. One is visually and one is auditorily with the tuner. I'm going to take you through both, and we're going to start with the visual first. So visual tuning just means you've got a couple different settings on here. If you can see, I've got off, metro, which is metronome, tuner, and then sound. So sound is what I'll use for auditory tuning. Tuner is what I will use for visual tuning. If you've just started playing violin or you haven't been playing violin very long, sometimes it's nice to use the visual tuning option, which means you turn on the tuner and it's going to give you a visual readout if you're in tune or not. Mine's picking up my vocal pattern right now, so it's going back and forth. The goal is to have this little line going directly up and down in the middle. And on my tuner, when it's right in tune, it will light up green and it will let me know. If it's going a little bit to the left, your pitch is going to be too low or flat. And then if it goes too far to the right, your pitch is too high or sharp. So then you're going to need to lower it and bring it right back down to the middle. So the important thing when you are tuning for the tuner is that you have a really even sound when you are tuning, meaning that you don't have any extra pressure on your strings at all, that you just have a really even sound. Otherwise the tuner can't pick it up. It makes it difficult for it to get an even take on whether you're in tune or not. If you have too much pressure, it will actually bend the pitch, and so it will make it sound sharper than it really is in reality. So having a really nice even weight on the string, really good connection with the string will help you when you're tuning. So if I'm tuning with my A, I'm just going to play like this. And I'm actually right in the middle of my pitch. My tuner is just a little bit off to the side, and I should get a pretty good reading. If I do this, I won't get a very good reading, or it will read and it won't be true to the pitch that I'm actually playing. Similar, if I go like that, the sound that nobody likes, it won't get an even sound on the pitch either. So once I've tuned my A, then I would proceed over to tune my D, and my G. And then last but not least, my E. And I just made a little adjustment there because my E was flat from when I was demonstrating before. So you can spend more time tuning. You can kind of go back and forth and a couple of times until you get a really good fix on the pitch. Sometimes, depending on the sensitivity of your tuner, it'll kind of like hover back and forth, or you might notice when you change the bow, at bow change points, that's when there's a fluctuation in the pitch. Generally because sometimes we have a fluctuation in the pressure that we have on the string when we're close to changing the direction of the bow. If it is green 80 to 90% of the time, then you're generally in tune. If it's still like vacillating back and forth, under 80% of the time, then you're generally not in tune. So now moving on to how we tune auditorily. So if you've been playing a little bit longer, maybe you're a little bit more advanced, then you're ready to tune just by hearing a fixed pitch, which means just one constant pitch, an A that doesn't fluctuate at all. So the next thing to do if you want to tune this way is to turn your tuner on to sound. So if I take mine all the way down, it plays this fixed pitch A, which you can hear right here. So the first thing that you're going to do is tune your A to that fixed pitch, and then once it's right in the center of the pitch, then you will turn off the tuner and you will tune your A and D together, the interval of a perfect fifth, and then the D and the G together, and then last but not least the A and the E together. When you're doing this, you want to listen for like the sound of wah 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 wah. That kind of lets you know that either you're in tune or you're out of tune. When they're right in the middle, when those two strings are perfectly tuned to each other, it'll ring. It'll light up like a Christmas tree, like I like to say. So it'll ring really nice and even for you. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. And just going to make my strings a little bit out of tune so that you can hear it. So here we go, my tuner, giving me an A. So I'm not in tune, I'm too low. Close for now. I'm going to go through and tune the rest of my strings. You can hear that wah wah wah. Right where I need to be. It was a little too low, so I raised it. Right where I need to be, and you can hear that wah wah wah. Right where I need to be. So now, because I needed to adjust some of my strings so much, I'm going to go back in and double check. Everything right where it needs to be. Another way that you can tune is by doing harmonics. If you're a little bit more advanced, if you're having a hard time hearing the lower frequencies, you can do these harmonics. So you can tune that way too. That's just another way if you want to go auditorily. So hopefully this was helpful. One last thing, you might find as you're playing longer that your strings start to go out of tune just a little bit. Sometimes as you play, your violin warms up just a little bit and then the wood expands. It can make your strings go out of tune. So it's important to recheck your tuning if you're playing and you think that something's just not quite right. Similarly, if you've put a new set of strings on recently while they're stretching out, that can affect the tuning as well. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about tuning, you can always leave me a question below in the comments. And until next time, happy practicing.